Hello everyone, and welcome to this video explaining the rules of 7 Wonders. Before we start this explanation of the rules, note that this game is adapted for colorblind players, and all of the colors in the game are associated with a symbol. 7 Wonders is a game for 3 to 7 players, aged 10 and up, with games that last about 30 minutes. In 7 Wonders, the objective of the game is to develop your city and make it more influential than those of your opponents. Before going over the rules of the game, let's look at setup. Randomly deal a wonder to each player. There are 7 different wonders in the game. You then choose if you'd rather play with the day or night side of your wonder. For your first few games, we suggest you play with the day side. Then place all of the coins in the middle of the table. Give 3 to each wonder. The coins you own are called your treasury. This treasury, along with your wonder and the cards you'll choose in play, are what's called your city. Now place all of the military tokens in the middle of the table. Next, divide the cards into decks for age 1, 2, and 3. Then assemble the age 1 card deck. These are the cards with the Roman numeral 1 on their back. Sort these cards following this method. If you're playing with 3, only take the cards marked 3+. If there are 4 of you, take the 3+ and 4+ cards. With 5, the 3+, 4+, and 5+ cards. At 6, use the 3+, 4+, 5+, and 6+ cards. And finally, with 7, take all of the cards. Return to the box any unused cards. Do the same for the age 2 and age 3 card decks. Be careful though, for the age 3 card deck, you have to add guild cards. You start with 2 guild cards, and will add 1 more for each player in the game. Once the decks are sorted, take the age 1 deck, shuffle it, and deal, face down, 7 cards to each player. If you've assembled the deck properly, all of the cards should be dealt out. The game is now set up. Let's start going over the rules. As explained at the beginning of this video, the objective of the game is to develop your city and make it more influential than those of your opponents. This influence is represented by victory points you'll earn throughout the game, thanks to your wonder and your cards, which represent buildings. Now let's see how a game turn plays out. Simultaneously, you and your opponents will take the cards you've been dealt and choose one. Keep your card face down in front of you while waiting for everyone else to make their choice. Then give the player to your left all of the remaining cards. There should be 6 left after this first choice. Once you've chosen a card, you have 3 choices. The first is to reveal your card and construct the building it represents in your city. We'll see later on how to pay its construction cost and what advantage that gives. Just remember that when a card is played, it remains in your city until the end of the game. Your second choice is to use that card to build a stage of your wonder. You just have to slip the card under the first stage of your wonder. We'll see later on how to pay the construction cost of that stage and what advantage it gives you. And finally, the third choice is to sell that card to get 3 coins. In this case, the card is placed in the discard pile. The first turn is over. Altogether, you've chosen a card, given your hand to the player next to you, and used your chosen card. You can now start a new turn by choosing your second card from your new hand. After a few turns, when you only have 2 cards remaining in your hand, you'll choose the card you prefer and will put the last card on the discard pile. That last card won't be played and will thus not earn you any coins. If you've done everything right, each player will therefore have chosen and played 6 cards in age 1. In 7 Wonders, there are 7 types of cards. The brown cards produce basic resources: stone, wood, ore, and clay. Grey cards produce manufactured resources: cloth, paper, and glass. The 7 resources of the game, along with your coins, are used to pay the cost of your constructions. Blue cards earn you victory points at the end of the game. The number written between the laurels tells you how many victory points you've won. Green cards will make the science of your city progress, and their combinations will earn you victory points at the end of the game. Simply refer to the chart on the last page of the rulebook to determine the total earned by your green cards. Yellow cards have to do with commerce. They can earn you coins, improve commerce with your neighboring players, and even sometimes earn you victory points. Red cards increase your military power. At the end of each age, your armies will face off against opposing armies. This military conflict phase will be explained a bit later. Finally, violet cards come into play during Age 3. They are worth victory points depending on sets of cards made during the game. Now let's move on to constructing your card's building. As a reminder, when you choose a card, you have 3 choices. Construct the building represented on the card. Construct a stage of your wonder. Sell the card to claim 3 coins. To construct your card's building, you have to pay its construction cost. Once constructed, you'll benefit from its effect. Each card is shown the same way. It has a name, an effect, and potentially a construction cost. Though some cards may be free. A building's cost will be shown under the banner on the left of the card. Cost can be displayed in one of 3 ways. First, the cost area is empty. To construct that building, you don't need to pay anything and you need no resources. Secondly, the cost is indicated in coins. To construct that building, you'll have to take the number of coins shown from your treasury and put them in the reserve in the middle of the table. As with a card which requires resources, you will only be able to construct it if you have the required number of coins. And finally, the cost is indicated in resources. To construct that building, you'll thus need to have the shown resources. Let's imagine that you'd like to build the barracks, which costs an ore. If you already produce ore, you can build the barracks for free. You don't have to discard your card. The fact that you're producing ore means that you're producing ore each turn for the whole game, as if it was a mine which can never go empty. However, if you don't produce ore, you can purchase that resource from the player to your left or right, provided that player produces ore. To purchase an ore from a neighboring player for the turn, you have to give them 2 coins. They can't stop you, and once again, the card remains in play. They can also still use their resource on that turn, as your purchase has no influence on their play. If you want to later purchase an ore from them again, you'll have to pay for it again. Pay attention to the names of your cards, as you're not allowed to ever build 2 identical cards. Now let's see how to build a wonder stage. Leave the card face down and slip it under the first stage of your wonder. The stages must be built in order from left to right. Do note that this order has nothing to do with the current age. You're free to build them all during the first age, the last age, or even not build a single stage at all. For the construction cost of a wonder stage, don't take into account what's shown on the face of the selected card. The cost is specified here on the wonder. As with the cards, if you don't have the resources required and you can't purchase them from your neighboring players, you can't perform that construction. And finally, the third possible action consists of selling a card for 3 coins. You place the card face down on the discard pile and take 3 coins, which are added to your treasury. At the end of the first age and before moving on to the next age, all players must take part in military conflicts. You simply have to tally the number of shields represented on your cards and possibly on your wonder as well. You compare that total with that of your neighboring players, each individually. If you have a greater total than your neighbor, you take a +1 military token, which gives you 1 victory point at the end of the game. If your total is smaller, you take a -1 military token, which makes you lose 1 victory point at the end of the game. And if you're tied, no one gets any military tokens. Each player will resolve their conflicts with both the player to their right and the one to their left. When all of these conflicts are resolved and everyone has taken their military tokens, Age 2 can begin. Age 2 plays out as Age 1 did, except that the cards are now handed to the next player in the other direction. You'll thus pass your cards to the player to your right. You still choose and play 6 cards, and the age will also end with a military conflict. Starting in Age 2, you'll see some cards which will have a small white icon, which is called a chains. If next to a card's cost you have this icon, and you already have a card with this icon in its effect zone as shown here, then you can construct this new card without having to pay anything. Age 3 plays out as Age 1 did, but cards are once again passed to the left. To help you, the direction the cards are passed is indicated on the back of each card. Also in Age 3, guild cards appear as previously explained. As for military conflicts, the number of victory points increases with the ages. It goes from 1 to 3, and then to 5 victory points following Age 3. However, a military defeat still only gives you a -1 token. Now you know the basic rules for 7 Wonders. All that's left for you is to learn the various icons of the game to understand the effects caused by your cards and your wonder. You'll find the explanation for these icons in the effects description booklet. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you have tons of fun playing 7 Wonders.